So the market's down a little bit today, but no worries. We have a longer term vision right now. Down days like this are usually good for pickups. And like I shared with you the other day, I thought there would be at least one more push down by the whales to really try to liquidate anybody who was getting bullish so that they can thoroughly depress people so that they can be the ones buying huge amounts as the price then takes off. And my guess is that's how it plays out. But is it all right if I distract you from those thoughts with some good news for the long term on where this ecosystem continues to go? See, blockchain was developed as a way to solve a solution for, or create a solution for Bitcoin to be able to have security and transactability, and that it could be verifiable, and that you could exchange this value from anywhere else in the world. And that was great, but blockchain 1.0 created Bitcoin. And then came out these thoughts like blockchain, what I call blockchain 2.0 with Ethereum, and introducing smart contracts. And some of the power of those smart contracts really started to be realized last summer as we had what's called the DeFi boom. And starting right at the beginning of July, prices on anything DeFi absolutely skyrocketed as some of the power of DeFi started to be realized. Now, DeFi is the ability for people to borrow and lend to each other in a trustless way. And what's cool about that is it takes banks out of the picture, and that people are lending to other people at a higher rate than a bank would pay them, and people are borrowing from those they're lending to them at a cheaper rate than other people would lend to them with no credit score on the line. Does that make sense? So you're able to lend in a trustless way. But what if that was just the beginning of a much larger movement? Well, since that time, we've also discovered the power of NFTs. And what is an NFT? Yeah, we all know that an NFT is a non-fungible token. Non-fungible meaning they're not the same as the other ones. Fungible means everything's exactly the same, like $1 bill has the exact same worth as another dollar bill. Non-fungible means these two items might be very similar, but they're not the same. Okay, so that's interesting. And non-fungible tokens have revolutionized or started to revolutionize video gaming, collectibles, and some of that. But what if there's another sector where non-fungible tokens are amazing for that hasn't really been hit at all yet? See, this big boom in DeFi that happened a year ago, it got noticed by some very smart people in some of the different industries within finance. Now, we had on one of those very smart people a month ago, and he was the CEO of Bumper Finance. Bumper creating a different way that people can basically hedge their downside risk on, say, their Ethereum or their Bitcoin positions, and some very creative solutions. And it took a lot of genius level people figuring out how to do it in as smooth a way as Bumper is doing it. What about some of the other areas? Have you thought about non-fungible tokens? And we've heard some people talk about how non-fungible tokens can be used to, I guess, reflect the ownership of real estate. So a building, for example, could have an NFT related to it, and they could fractionalize that NFT or create an F-NFT, which is a fractionalized NFT. Say they broke it into 100 pieces, and if you owned one of those fractional NFTs, you would own 1/100th of that building. And so you would have, rights to the revenue from, you would have 1/100th of the rights to the revenue from that building and the rental income that it produces. So that's one idea, and that's fantastic. But what about a whole other arena? What about other highly valuable intellectual property rights? What if you could create NFTs for those? And what are some of those? Well, it's a really big realm, so I'll just give you some examples. What about music ownership? Say you record a song, say you're Shakira, and you record a song and it sells 1 billion copies. Well, the ownership of the rights to that song is worth a lot. However, right now, it's hard to take that asset and, say, borrow against it. It's also hard to fractionalize it and sell off percentages of it. But isn't this exactly what DeFi is created for. So what if you could take the rights to that song and you could create an NFT for that? Well, where would you do that? Would you do that on Opensea? No, right? Opensea is great for like gaming, NFTs, and other smaller ones, but you need your own marketplace and your own world, like a different economy and location, like network of economies for these different things. So there we enter in DEIP world, DEIP world. Creating creative economy protocols, Web 3.0 protocols, tools, and applications for creative economy. So let me tell you what this really is. They're creating a world where different verticals for these different high value intangibles can be created in order to, I guess, serve the specific purposes for these types of NFTs by different verticals. It doesn't make sense to group together, say, movie rights necessarily with music rights, or rights to a patent, a drug patent, to be grouped together with movie rights, right? So each of these different areas would have its own vertical within this world, and that there would be marketplaces for these different types of things, as well as their own DeFi ecosystems within it. For example, if you had the movie right, or you had the song rights to that song by Shakira, what if it was worth, say, $1 billion and you wanted to borrow against that? Well, this creates a place that you would then be able to borrow against that money, right? Or borrow against that value. So say you want to borrow 30%, and through this, people could put up capital that then you could borrow using the value of that asset as collateral, and then you could borrow 300 million. Say it's nice that you get residual income from an asset such as that, but maybe you need some liquid capital for another investment. So that creates a world and a place that you could borrow against that asset. You can then pay it back in a trustless way through the power of DeFi with smart contracts, as well as you can do other things, such as, say, you buy the DEIP token, which will come out in the coming months. You can actually stake within these different verticals your tokens to earn a percentage of the revenue generated in fees as different transactions take place in these verticals. Now, this is exciting. I've thought for a long time about where NFTs could go, and I realized, they're perfect for these high-value intangible assets such as movie rights, song rights, patent rights, other rights like that you can't really touch and feel, but there is value to it. And so it makes it easier to transact, to buy and sell, to fractionalize it and sell fractions of it, as well as to borrow against it, and that you can participate in those verticals to be able to loan against assets that you understand the value of and make some residual income there. You can also stake in those different verticals in order to earn passive income on the fees that are generated in these verticals. Now, where did they choose to build this? Well, probably in the platform that by far makes sense for it, Polkadot. Now, they're building their own standalone application, but they're also setting it up so that they can at some point get their own parachain should it become necessary. And so right now they won't need it, but down the road they are setting up so that they can have it, so that they can integrate with the whole Polkadot ecosystem, which in many ways is cross-chain compatible with all the different ecosystems. And so that is where they're building it. So one of my next questions I look at when I'm trying to identify a good buy, because at the end of the day, I'm just an investor here. I'm trying to identify good ecosystems and good places where the technology of blockchain can revolutionize things, because I'm trying to invest my money in things that will increase in value as their use cases become relevant. So the thing I usually do next is I check out the team. Now, as I was trying to understand DEIP World, and this came to me through two of my screeners that are very good screeners helping scrub all the different projects that come out, and they only send me the best. And two of them sent me this one to look at, and I was reading through all the information, and it was pretty deep. If you read through that white paper that you saw on the last page we were at, hopefully after hearing kind of me break down some of these things, it'll make more sense as I'm describing it. But yeah, it was some deep reading, that's for sure. I did reach out to the team and spoke to Alex, the CEO, so he could explain to me in a better way what it was all adding up to and why they were doing it the way that they were doing it and what exactly they were trying to accomplish. So some of my explanation comes from the explanations he gave me in order to help me understand it better. But they have a very, solid team that has background specifically in this industry. See, this is the cool thing of where the cryptocurrency and blockchain ecosystem is going, is that last July, that did not go unnoticed. Now, some of these smart people were already working towards these type of solutions, but as they really grasped what smart contracts could do, then they looked inside the industries that they already know well, and they thought, oh my gosh, this can revolutionize our industry, and this is how. And they're creating their unique solutions for this. So their website, so that you can go to it, is DEIP.world, so you can look at it yourself. You can look at their GitHub. I'm not going to go much deeper into that. The second thing I look at is their tokenomics. Okay, I want to make sure they're not raising a ridiculous amount of money. There was a project back in 2017 that raised like $1.5 billion or whatever, and the project raised so much money that actually it kind of creates laziness in that they're already rich now. They don't have to work to make their vision happen. And it just kind of takes away their incentives. So even if they have a big vision of what can happen and, they have the right, background to make it happen, it's always important to me that they're hungry, that they don't get all this huge amounts of money that they can then coast on. So their tokenomics at launch with what their price is expected to be is going to put their market cap at launch about $1 million. In total, they're raising several $1 million through their pre-sale and their private sale and then their IDO. I don't have all the details I can share with you here, but their pre-sale and seed round investors, most of those tokens are locked up with only a fraction released at the IDO. All the people that buy at the IDO will have 100% of their tokens released, and that should bring it to a market cap of about $1 million. Should bring the total market cap, if all the tokens were in circulation at that price, to about 40 million. But many of those tokens are locked up for at least 6 months, many of the team tokens for several years. And so its market cap won't fully have all the tokens in circulation for many, many years. And so that all seemed to make sense to me. Now, if you're thinking this might be for you, please come to the website. You can start to do some research. And I know I'm bringing this to you before anyone else because as I was doing research, I tried to look for other videos to help me grasp the deeper vision of what this is all about, and I couldn't find it. So I'm probably the first bringing you a video on this. Now, my guess is you'll be hearing about a lot more about them soon, and I don't mind being the first. But I did talk to the team so I could make sure I was getting it right. So this is one project that's high on my radar. It's an ecosystem I've been thinking about for about 18 months. And I'm glad to see a solid team that's working to make this ecosystem a reality, because this is a place that blockchain can provide significant value to artists, to scientists who create these patents, and other companies that invest hundreds of millions of dollars in, say, drug research, so that they can hold their patents in a place that's more transactable and lendable and other things. So with that said, I do want to give a shout out to Formation Finance. They did have their initial launch today, and their IDO price on their token was 3 cents. You probably saw, if you followed it, that it hit all the way up to 45 cents, which in this market, a 15x is really good. Also, I hope none of you bought it at 45 cents, because we talk about making your money on the buy. It since has retraced to around 20 cents. I think it's gone down a little bit below that. Now, a little bit of insight on the tokenomics behind it. I think most of the pre-sale tokens are daily vesting for the first 30 or 60 days. And then there's a pause. They don't get any tokens for like another 60 days. Then they do get all those tokens released. And what this should do is create a squeeze on the supply. Now, all the people who bought in the IDO, they got all their tokens released right away. And so that's a lot of what sold into the demand that was there. So even though it hit 45 cents, that's part of the reason it came down, because a lot of those people were selling. How it will go from here? Well, normally you have a big long retrace for a few months. Will that happen with this? I don't know how it will play out because of where the tokens are. So let me take it off this as I speak about formation. I do have pulled up one of the places. You know what? Let me see if I have this window open so I can share it with you. I don't. Dex Tools is one of the best places to look, but I can't remember what. Yeah. Dex Tools is where I was looking at the price, as well as KuCoin. You can find it hit all the way at 45 cents, so I could see the immediate price. If it comes down anywhere near 10 cents, that's only 3x from the IDO price. Pretty attractive in my book. 20 cents isn't bad. 10 cents is really good. Anything cheaper than that, amazing. May not ever get cheaper than that because of the way they set up the tokenomics, unless the pre-sale investors and private sale and seed round that keep getting their daily distributions continue to sell those on a daily basis. There's not going to be very much sell pressure and possibly some buy pressure. So just something to consider. I don't tell you what to do. I just tell you what I'm thinking about, what I'm doing, and sharing with you that. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm an investor myself. I've been investing for over 20 years. I've only been in crypto for 4 years. Now I'm sharing with you what I'm doing and how I've used crypto over the past 4 years to create life-changing wealth for myself. And I do tell my subscribers that it's like, look, if this is your first cycle, the chances that you make life-changing wealth this cycle, it could happen. It's not likely to happen. But if you position yourself right and make good choices this cycle and set yourself up well to take some profits so that you can buy well during the bear market that always follows a bull market, then you can buy really, really well to position yourself to the next cycle to probably, more than likely, make life-changing wealth as long as you're making good decisions. So though I never tell you what to do, I tell you what I'm doing and how I think about it, just to inform you how I think about it. And I didn't create these ways I think about it. I learned from people that were smarter than me. And I knew that if I just understood the way they think about things, it would lead me to doing similar things to what they're doing. If I could do the same things essentially that they're doing, that I would have above average results. And it seemed to work really well for me. With that said, all you who joined me on this journey for the 5-year commitment, I call you our rainmakers. And you know, I appreciate it when you take the time to watch every one of my videos and like it, and also subscribe to the channel, because that helps me grow this movement. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Success is falling, flowing like rain. The timing's right, we're getting paid. Come on, rainmakers, let's make this happen.